Hello everyone. On this channel, you usually see the art that I make that's finished. However, there's a ton of stuff I do that you never see in my sketchbook. This year, I have labeled it the year of drawing, where I am focusing on maximizing my ability to draw and sketch. To do that, from late December on through January, I determined I would draw every day. Well, that made me prolific enough with my sketchbooks that I'm actually working on 3 different sketchbooks at one time. So I'm going to show you the stuff that's in these and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. This was a layout I did for Ocean Goddess. This is a first layout for Maedlin, Queen of Tears, so obviously I work out my layouts, what I'm going to do in my finished art in my sketchbooks. And this Fabriano sketchbook is my cheap one for messy sketches. Here I was working on direct-to-pen drawing, and these are subjects from the internet in which I try to draw as effectively as I can, going straight to pen. That's a really big thing these days. I think it's focused so much because of the legacy of Kim Jung-gi and some of the others like him that draw nearly flawlessly directly to the paper with a pen or brush. More layout for Ocean Goddess. These are some rough sketches from imagination. I was having a lot of trouble drawing straight to pen from imagination, as by how incredibly rough it will illustrate. They're obviously not of any standard I would use. This is Nita got me an Asaro head, which is a multifaceted head to study lighting and the planes of the head and face. I had a calendar of sheep, and I was drawing all different kinds of sheep, direct to pen, no pencil. This I drew when I was practicing armature and primitive, do my armature and primitive series. That's not terrible. I don't know why I brushed this, because it's not good enough to use. It's no good. It doesn't rise to any standard I would use. More awful direct to pen stuff that was not working out. I mean, the proportions are all off. It's a mess. This was my drawing for the second armature series, where I draw direct from armature from a reference. Very sketchy, horrible direct pen guy I drew off TV. Actually like this. This is an armature type pose that I did and came out okay. You probably noticed there's a cat drawn all through here. I love to draw cats, but I'm not real good at it, and the only way to get good at it is to study and to do. A layout that I abandoned for a book. Scribbling direct to pen, but actually I don't think I did too bad. It looks like photo. This is when I was doing figure study at the live drawing session at the Heriter, and of course the best of all ways to learn figure drawing from a live model. By now, I was getting interested in simplifying my armatures into non-organic shape, better understand the human form, and that's what this is. Direct to pen, getting a little better. I've been working on it for weeks at this point, trying to get better at this skill, and I shaded it in a little bit with pencil. These are direct pen drawings from pictures on the internet. Lots more direct pen. Of course, you have no recourse once you put a line with pen down. That's what makes it a little difficult. This is when I started to study Bridgman, and I determined that I was going to draw every figure in the Bridgman book from beginning to end to learn figure drawing better. Well, I'm glad I did. I've learned a lot. Tremendous things to be said. I can see a lot of what I saw in Gil Kane's work from his comic days. His figures had kind of a Bridgman look. These are over-exaggerated, of course. That's part of Bridgman. I never stopped trying to learn more Bridgman. They look kind of neat in their own way. I mean, they're not lifelike. They're definitely like abstracted forms, but they are kind of cool. As I said, I think I made it through page 30 of the book, or I had to stop for a while. No, page 32. I made it through page 33. And honestly, learning a lot. Then I went back to direct to pen study, and both of these figures from Pinterest and these up here were direct to pen. I mean, obviously the proportion and everything is off, but it's not as messy as when I started. This is when I started to get a clue for how to do direct pen. And it's a slow way to draw because you have to pre-think every movement. One of those measure twice and draw once kind of things. Direct to brush, which is the first time I'd ever done that. And honestly, these both look like the characters and from Pinterest, and they're not too bad. They're not too messy. So it is a learnable skill. So that's one of the sketchbooks I filled up in the last month. Well, I'm filling up. Won't be long before it gets filled up. This is my fine sketchbook. It's got really heavy paper, a multimedia sketchbook. Let's see. Those are notes on posing models, which I, strangely enough, didn't get from art sites so much as photographer website. A girl drawn in armature. Me testing out grabby dual tone acrylic markers. Really cool. I know I'm going to use them for something. Drawing the underside of the nose and trying to figure out forms and levels. More ugly sketching with grabby markers. It's kind of cool. Not, I wouldn't show it to anybody otherwise. This was when I was going to do a academic drawing tutorial to show how to draw in the academic style. And I did these, and obviously both Betty Page. And then I got to thinking these might be still under copyright by someone. And so I didn't want to use them, but I think they're lovely little sketches. That was the first time I drew the model off the cover that I would use for academic drawing. And then this is the one that actually the video got made around. Lots of studying on head proportions. I revisit that every now and again because heads are complex and from different angles they can look really different. I do a lot of these kind of studies and make notes. And the reason I make notes is because drawing uses this one side of your brain, but the side that you make the notes with, the language size, sends things to your long-term memory. So if you write them down as you do them, they're more likely to stick. An unfinished sketch from when I was watching Wicked. It's not bad. Drawing from an actual movie or from normal life moving is tough. Drawing from a photo. Just a little experiment with 5-point perspective after I saw a Peter Hand video where he explained it. These notes are more proportions, where I did a deep dive into all the different proportions, or canons as they call them, of the human form. Like the Greek canon is how figures would have been measured out in finger joints, but that was different than, let's say, the Renaissance canon, where they had a different set of guidelines. They all come to the same conclusion, but how you approach it is different. And it did not come out to my satisfaction at all. I knew I could get better. So I started working much more diligently on, let's say in this case, the female mannequin, figuring out what the shapes were, how they moved, what the connections were. All the balls are joints, for example. I was watching Monkey Life, so I got this off of a picture on the internet and drew it. The effects of gravity on figures with the water-filled balloons technique, and this was with my new, more advanced armature. This is directed drawing with pen from a pose book, a book of fantasy art poses. I was making strides, working on just solely outlines, drawing this one twice to try to work out the proportions. This was a picture of a bronze horse from the internet. More direct line studies, direct to pen. This is more figure drawing at the Harrison Center. Body parts interact with each other in ways that you never expect. It is from a little book, the pocket book of anatomy, the head and face. Sketchy drawing, not good enough to use. Keeper of the King's Arrows. I like this a lot and did use it. The Keeper of the King's Arrows was the medieval official who would order arrows or take them from all over the country so that when the king went on campaign, usually in France, he would have enough arrows to supply his army. So this fellow was sort of a purveyor of arrows. Lady spinning, and I had various ways I had drawn this, but Benita showed me how the spinning would actually work. This is a developmental drawing of the character Gervais Candlewick head. I guess it should be self-evident. This is the female armature that I more or less landed on. This is from a study of Albrecht Dürer's Praying Hands. You see this is everywhere. So beautiful. And this is the medieval archer I did in another video. This is from my living room rug. You know, there's always stuff to draw if you don't know what to draw. I just thought the pattern on this was so pretty that I did this. This is after a drawing by Raphael. This is a sketch of Michelangelo's David. A witch that actually wasn't good enough to develop into a larger picture. I'll return to the con. That's a chair that's in my living room, quite old. Here I was starting to think of how to abstract the body into blocks. This was a concept sketch, not good enough to use on its own. It'll probably be the inspiration for a bigger picture. I was studying Alphonse Mucha, really truly one of my favorite artists, and trying to figure out how he did hair, and basically the hair is like coiling, curling smoke, clouds almost being whipped around. Drawing that I did that I thought looked okay and I thought had promise. Redrawing it and doing it as a brush and ink, and I liked it a great deal more. Getting into drawing flowing folding clothes. I got that off Pinterest. There's Marilyn Monroe. These books, the poses are taken from medieval fight books or manuals how to fight, but redrawn in my own style. This is the concept piece for a bigger finished piece I've been working on. This study is after Leonardo da Vinci, and this one is after Frank Frazetta. And these are after Alphonse Mucha. Finally, this is a greyhound that came on the cover of a magazine that I just thought was beautiful, so I had to draw him. So 1 month I have made more than half of that sketchbook. Finally, the stuff in this sketchbook is almost all finished work. This is a more technical drawing where I'm trying to learn the ins and outs of 14th century armor. I was unaware that all the belts and buckles went on the insides and the hinges on the outside, for example. Good stuff to know. That's a lot of the art that you won't see on the website, but be assured I'm always studying to get better and working with different techniques, and these are the places I do it. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed this.